Now, I had been doing a series where I talked about past seasons, and season that interests me a lot is this one, 0506. Because we were coming out of the lockout, that whole year of no hockey, and there was a lot of debate about whether or not taking out the red line was going to fix the offense problem, and salary cap issues and whatnot. In the end, it turned out that the players made a lot more money. Coaches found a way to kill the offense again, and the league still cries foul about how much money it's making or not making. So, the whole season was lost for not a whole lot. Now, there's a funny little tidbit at the start of this magazine. There's a list of names here. See that Leafs logo? It's never dull in Leafland. Here's some names that were rumored to be landing in Toronto this summer. Anson Carter, Byron Defoe, Manny Fernandez, Adam Foote, Peter Forsberg, Sergei Gonchar, Roman Hamrlik, Darian Hatcher, Curtis Joseph, Paul Kariya, Nikolai Habibulin, John LeClaire, Eric Lindros, Glenn Murray, Marcus Naslund, Scott Niedermayer, Ziggy Palffy, and Miroslav Shaitan. Now, yes, years later, Cujo, Eric Lindros would become Leafs. The rest are no. It's just funny because I know Toronto fans get upset that the rest of Canada sort of resents the Toronto-centric media, and yet here's an article from 11 years ago stating, yeah, it happens. So I find it kind of funny. But because there was a year off, these prospect pools should be the deepest ever. Anaheim's was the following: Ryan Getzlaf, Ladislav Schmid, Corey Perry, Ilya Bryzgalov, Chris Kunitz, Aaron Rome, Curtis Glencross, Dustin Penner, Mark Popovich, and Vladdy Korsunov. And the number one draft pick that year was Bobby Ryan. So I'm going to go ahead and say Anaheim had pretty damn good depth. Atlanta, Kerry Leighton, Braden Coburn, Boris Valavic, Jim Slater, Carl Stewart, Tommy Santla, Stephen Baby, Jim Sherrill, Nathan Oystrick, and Derek McKenzie, and their number one draft pick was Alex Bourret. Now you know why they're the Winnipeg Jets. The Boston Bruins, Hannu Toivonen, Mark Stewart, Brad Boyes, Andrew Alberts, Andy Hilbert, Martin Samuelsson, Milan Ursina, Lars Jonsson, Martin Karstens, David Krejci is 10 on this list, and then Matt Lashoff was the number one draft pick. That's a crap list too. Buffaloes, Thomas Vanek, Ryan Miller, Drew Stafford, Derek Roy, Clark MacArthur, Dan Paille, Jason Pominville, Andre Sekera, Paul Gostad, Michael Funk, and number one draft pick Marek Zagrapan. So pretty damn good list for Buffalo too. Calgary, Dion Phaneuf, Eric Nystrom, Chris Chucko, Brent Cron, Andre Teratukin, Tim Ramholt, Dustin Boyd, Tommy Mackey, Brandon Prust, Yuri Trubachev, and first-round draft pick Matt Pellich. So Calgary's sucked. Carolina, Andrew Ladd, Cam Ward, Danny Richmond, Casey Borer, Andrew Hutchinson, Mike Zigamanis, Kevin Nastyuk, Justin Peters, Nicholas Nordgren, Brent Carson, and the number one draft pick was Jack Johnson. So Carolina's wasn't great either. Chicago, Cam Barker, Brent Seabrook, Anton Babchuk, Pavel Vorobiev, Mikhail Yakubov, Craig Anderson, Corey Crawford, Duncan Keith, Dave Boland, Michael Barinka, and their first round draft pick was Jack Skilly. So the cats go insane because I'm doing a video. They've been quiet all morning. That's kind of a crap list for Chicago too. That's when they were drafting Russians in the first round every year. That was part of the reason teams backed off of Russians, because Chicago drafted them and either they wouldn't come over or they weren't very good when they did. Colorado, Wojtek Wolski, Marek Svatos, Peter Budaj, Johnny Boychuk, Cody McCormick, Brad Richardson, Mikko Kalteva, Dennis Parshin, Linus Fidel, Brett Hemingway, and the number 1 draft pick was Ryan Stoa. So that's not a great list for Colorado, other than 2 of my favorites. Columbus, Pascal Leclerc, Dan Fritchie, Alexander Picard, Aaron Johnson, Greg Maudlin. I want to say Maudlin, but it's not. It's LD. Joachim Lindstrom, Rafael Sanitz, Christian Tollefson, Adam Pinot, Yaroslav Belastic, and the number 1 draft pick, Gilbert Brule. We know how that turned out. Dallas, Louis Eriksson, Sean Bell, Nicholas Grossman, Trevor Daley, Mark Fistrick, Jussi Jokinen, Johan Franzen, Jared Hagos, Antti Miettinen, Junior Lassard, number 1 draft pick, Matt Niskanen. So that's not bad. Detroit. And Detroit always has all of the best everything, right? So their prospects: Niklas Gronwall, Yuri Hudler, Igor Grigorenko. How's the guy's name? Grigorenko. Jimmy Howard, Valtteri Filppula, Joey McDonald, Evan McGrath, Kyle Quincy, Stefan Liv, Johan Franzen, and the number 1 draft pick, Jakob Klindel. For a team that's widely regarded as the best team in history with draft picks, it's not a great list of draft picks. Oilers, Jeff Delorier, Rob Shrimp, oh boy, Devin Dubnyk, Marc-Antoine Pouliot, oh boy, part 2, Matt Green, Yanni Rita, Tony Salmonen, Dragan Umasevich, Brad Winchester, Jesse Ninamaki, and the number 1 draft pick was Andrew Cogliano. Florida, Rostislav Olish, Anthony Stewart, Lucas Krejcik, David Shantz, Vaclav Netarust, Stefan Meyer, Camille Krebs, David Booth, Rob Globke, Greg Campbell, and the number 1 draft pick, Kendall McCardle. Remember during the last lockout, Kendall McCardle was interviewed, and he's like, this lockout can't go on very long because some of us, this might be our last chance. And sadly, he never played. He never got signed. So even though the lockout was resolved, I kind of felt bad for him. I followed him a bit. I'm like, man, nobody signed him. He was trying to get them to settle, and then they did, and nobody signed him. Kings, Dennis Grebeshkov, or Grebeshkov, doesn't matter really. He's not in the league anymore. He was an Edmonton reclamation project that didn't work. Mike Camilleri, Lauri Tukkonen, Tim Gleason, Yannick Lahou, Brian Boyle, Jeff Tambellini, Noah Clark, Konstantin Pushkarev, Ryan Muntz, and first-round draft pick Anze Kopitar. Minnesota Wild, Mikko Koivu, Patrick O'Sullivan, Danny Ehrman, Josh Harding, Matt Foy, Rickard Wallen, Kyle Wanvig, Stefan Velia, AJ Thelen, Roman Voloshenko, and the number 1 draft pick, Benoit Pouliot. 4th overall. Montreal, Andre Kostitsyn, Chris Higgins, Alexander Perezhogin. He didn't turn out the way I thought he would. Jan Denis. I liked Jan Denis more than anybody else apparently did because he never did play regularly in the NHL. Kyle Chipchura, Thomas Plekanec, Ron Hainsey, Marcel Hossa, also known as the Bad Hossa, to me, a former coworker of mine. Mark Streit, Maxim Lapierre, and number 1 draft pick, Carey Price. Price is a big goaltender, makes his job easy. Big, strong, and agile. He was second only to Crosby in terms of carrying a team last season. The young netminder also has a quick glove hand and great anticipation. His calm and collected demeanor has scouts predicting he can be a big game number 1 goaltender. Key stat, Price had 8 shutouts and a 2.34 goals against average for a mediocre Tri-City squad. Well, guess what, Carey? You're going to get ready to carry a mediocre Montreal team to the playoffs. Franchise assessment, C+. Like Edmonton, Montreal has had a long run of first-round flops, but quality picks later on offer balance. Just an interesting insight, considering this when Carey Price was drafted, and a lot of people didn't think Montreal made the right decision because at this point, Montreal in net had Jan Denis, considered a good up-and-coming goaltender, Cristobal Huet, who'd come over, and Jose Theodore. And Theodore was considered one of the best goaltenders in the league at that point. So just throwing that out there. Nashville. Their prospects: Ryan Suter, Shea Weber, Timofey Shishkinov, Scotty Upshall, Alexander Radulov, Brian Finley, Libor Pivko, Kevin Klein, Grigory Shifagul, doesn't matter, and Konstantin Glasichev, and prospect number 1 draft pick Ryan Perron, who never made it. Jersey: Zach Parise, Travis Zajac, Alexander Soglobov, Ari Ahonen, Thomas Pillman, Aaron Voros, Adrian Foster, Cam Jansen, Timu Lane, I don't think there's any relation, Christianis Redless, and number 1 draft pick Nicholas Bergfors, who would be traded to Atlanta for Kovalchuk. Atlanta's the Jets now. That's why. There are many reasons Atlanta's become the Jets. many, many, many reasons. All right. The Islanders: Petteri Nokalainen, Robert Nilsson. Oh, God. Sean Bergenheim, Jeremy Colleton, Bruno Gervais, no relation to Ricky, Ryan Caldwell, Chris Campoli, who got pushed out of the NHL way too early in my eyes. I thought he was a useful defenseman. I don't understand why he got pushed to Europe. Franz Nielsen, Yevgeny Tunik, and first-round draft pick Ryan O'Mara. Got traded to Edmonton at one point. That was in the Ryan Suter trade, I think. Oh, God. Rangers: Fedor Tutin, Al Montoya, Laurie Korpikoski, Henrik Lundqvist. Plays big while challenging shooters, is what they say about him. Hugh Jesseman, Maxim Kondrachev, Nigel Dawes, who's now a scoring machine in the KHL. Bruce Graham, Ivan Baranka, and Zdenek Behensky. And number 1 draft picks Mark Stahl. Okay. Ottawa: Andre Mezaros, Patrick Eaves, Ray Emery, Alexei Kagadorov, Kirill Lyman, Christoph Schubert, Brandon Bochenski. I like Bochenski. I wish he'd made it. That was too bad that he didn't make it. He had good AHL stats. Alexander Nikulin, Sean Weller, Billy Thompson, and Bochenski's also a big KHL guy now. Philadelphia: Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, Antero Nenamaki, Patrick Sharp, Dennis Seidenberg, RJ Umberger, Randy Jones, Ben Eager, Stefan Ruzicka, Ryan Patolny, and number 1 draft pick Steve Downey. So really good turnover in Philly in terms of guys who are actual NHLers. Phoenix: Keith Ballard, Blake Wheeler, David Leneveau, Enver Leeson, Randall Gelich, Martin Podlasak, Kale McLeod, Igor Nyasev, Logan Stevenson, Jacob Koresh, and Martin Hansel was the number 1 draft pick. Oof. That's a brutal list. Pittsburgh: number 1 draft pick Sidney Crosby. Call him the Anointed One. Crosby is by far the most tantalizing pick in more than a decade, offering Forsberg's strength and Gretzky's vision, speedy with a natural touch around the net, and a bulldog work ethic. Crosby is expected to make an immediate impact on the team and be the NHL's poster boy for years to come. I could truck out tons of magazines since this one that have had Sidney Crosby on the cover. Evgeny Malkin, Marc-Andre Fleury, Ryan Whitney, Noah Welch, Chris Beach, Ryan Stone, Colby Armstrong, Ben Eves, Michel Ouellette, and Sergei Enshikov. So it's a good thing that they had Malkin and Crosby and Fleury, because other than those number 1 draft picks, they didn't have a lot. St. Louis, that beautiful jersey I still haven't ordered. Marek Schwartz, Jeff Wojciechowski, Carl Soderberg, David Backus, Doug Lynch, Dennis Weidman, Roman Polak, Aaron McKenzie, Joe DeSalvatore, Jay McClement, and number 1 draft pick TJ Oshie. San Jose: Milan Mahalik, Christian Ehrhoff, Marcel Gottsch, Steve Bernier, Dmitry Patsold, Doug Murray, Mike Morris, Josh Hennessy, Lucas Casper. He never made it either. Matt Carl, and number 1 draft picks, Devin Setaguchi. Everybody loved Devin Setaguchi, but not the GMs. Tampa, Mike Egner, Andy Rogers, Doug O'Brien, Gerard DeCare, Paul Ranger, Evgeny Artukin, Nick Tarnsky, Alexander Polushin, Adam Heinrich, Ryan Craig. Number 1 draft pick, Vladimir Mahalik. Wow. Wow. That is startling. That is a startling list. That's how you get to draft Steven Stamkos a few years later. Oof. That is just brutal. Yeah, see, this was the year that the Leafs signed Lindros. Remember that, Toronto fans? Remember he was going to save the team. Save the team. Oh, arrivals and departures. I'll do that with Toronto here. Arrivals, Jason Allison, Carlo Koliakovo, Alexander Havanov, Eric Lindros, Jeff O'Neill, Alex Steen, Michael Telkvist, and Stefan Kronwall. Departures, Drake Berehowski, Tom Fitzgerald, Ryan Francis, Kyle Johansson, Trevor Kidd, Brian Leach, Brian Marchment, Alex McGillney, Joe Nieuwendyk, Owen Nolan, Robert Reichel, Michael Renberg, and Gary Roberts. Sorry. That's what the salary cap did. Toronto's Future Watch, Carlo Koliakovo, Alex Steen, Stefan Kronwall, Michael Telkvist, Jeremy Williams, Roman Kuchenberg, Kyle Wellwood, Pierre Hedin, Ian White, Robbie Earl, and number 1 draft pick, Tuukka Rask. The odd thing is the jersey being worn by Tuukka Rask there looks like a Bruins jersey. So, it's foreshadowing. Ooh. Vancouver, the Canucks are ready to rumble. It should say ready to crumble, because that's what happened. Crumbled fast after the lockout, actually. Pretty damn fast. That West Coast Express, just when that fell apart, it really... I mean, there's Bertuzzi and Naslund and happier days. So happy. So long ago. Okay, Ryan Kessler, Alex Auld, Jason King, Corey Schneider. I miss him. Kirill Koltsov, Thomas Moises, Alex Edler, Kevin Bieksa, Evgeny Gladzik, and Marc-Andre Bernier. And number 1 draft pick, Luc Boudreau. So, yeah, I won't get into the report on Luc Boudreau, because it's a shame with that kid. Capitals. I still miss those jerseys. I'm really looking for that one now. I've been looking around at jerseys, and the blue version of this one, I really, really want it badly. Now that I've got so many retros, I'm like, I need some more retro with my jerseys. Okay. Prospects, Alex Ovechkin, Eric Fair, Maxime Ouellet, Omelette, as he'd later be called by my friend and I at work, Boyd Gordon, Jacob Klepish, Nolan Yonkman, Shane Morrison, Jacob Cutta, Thomas Fleischman, who was acquired in a trade with Detroit, so he was moved around a little bit, and Brooks Lake. Needs to be more efficient without the puck, is what they say about Brooks Lake. And the number 1 draft pick was Sasha Pokolak. And then UFAs. And there's the list of all the guys that were still UFAs at the time this magazine was printed. Like, that is huge. I mean, now it might be half of that, but it was just all role players got booted out of the league. Oh, you're a role player? Yeah, you're gone. Yeah, no, you're done. It's over. So, that's too bad. And then that's when they were printing out all these stats from European leagues. Russia, so this is before the KHL. And there's Yager, the Russian jersey. Which looks to be relatively iffy with ads. One or two. It's not as bad as a lot of the European teams. But yeah, they got Czech Republic, Germany, Slovakia, Sweden. All those stats in here. Finland, Russia. UC Markkanen in Russia played 54 games, had 11 shutouts, and a 1.2 goals against average. This is why when people talk about KHL stats, again, I go, okay, fine. Kari Ramo posted a goals against average in the KHL of below 2. And then came over to the NHL and proved he was still a backup. So it's tough to look at European stats and go, okay, so that guy's going to be this when he comes over, because it's a different game. The Olympics in my eyes are kind of wrapping up with Penny and the girls having gone home, and she had 5th place last night. I didn't even watch that one. I didn't even realize it was on. So, but you know, I knew the Americans were going to win it. It's all basically this Olympics is a giant American fest. There was some comments being made on Bob McCown about, well, you know, all these events are scheduled around American television and around the Americans, and that may be true, but look at the medal count. Why wouldn't you schedule it around the Americans? They dominate in basically every area of sports. So, considering the amount of money Americans bring in and generate for the Olympics, considering how corrupt the IOC is, yeah, of course. It's about the least corrupt thing that the IOC will do in these Olympics. This pool is completely clean. Sir, drink some of that water. No. Why is it green? This is when the Kool-Aid man should come running in through the wall. There's Kool-Aid in the pool. We're sponsored by... That's what they should do. They should have signed a sponsorship with Kool-Aid, and then that whole thing wouldn't have been a thing. Anyways, the 2005-2006 season, what was their Stanley Cup prediction that year? Philly. Philly take home the cup. New additions have skill and size, but can they adapt to rule changes? No. Flyers GM Bob Clark gets an A+ for the acquisition of free agents Peter Forsberg, Darian Hatcher, Mike Rathje, and Chris Therien. The only one who was decent after the new collective bargaining agreement was Forsberg. Hatcher and Rathje were not mobile, and they were casualties of the new NHL. And Chris Therien wasn't far behind. And then Clark signed monster winger Mike Knuble, who was good. Good. And then when you consider the Flyers have the returnees of Simon Gagne, Keith Primo, who also struggled after the lockout, Sami Kapanen, who struggled with the speed after the lockout, Kim Johnson, who was never very fast, Eric Desjardins, who was older at that stage, and Joni Pikkinen. It's easy to understand why they're our choice to win it all in 2006. Actually, Mike Brophy, it's not easy to understand why you're picked in 2006. The youngsters that will crack the lineup. Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, and Antero Niittymaki. Absolutely on all three. Niittymaki had a couple of good seasons. Robert Esch was the starter. I have magazines from the years after this about how Esch and Niittymaki were the downfall of the Flyers, as was their blue line speed. I had Wiley coach Ken Hitchcock behind the bench. Biggest concern facing the Flyers is whether or not their considerable size, particularly on the blue line, will work against them when the referees crack down on obstruction. Why are you picking him for the cup then? Because yeah, it does. Darian Hatcher's like, what, you mean I can't just grab the guy's jersey and hold on? Because I gas myself out pretty quick when I have to skate. See, if I grab his jersey, Rath and I have been working on this. We're both going to grab the jerseys and just kind of sit halfway down to the ice and just pull them back. You mean I can't do that anymore? And when people talk about hooking and holding now, and they're like, oh, it's the same as it was before the lockout. No, it's not at all. Like these guys would just reach out and grab you by the shoulder and pull you back. I mean, it was, and the referees were just standing. Well, it wasn't holding, it was yanking. He yanked him, he didn't hold him. Not like he just put his hand on his shoulder and sang to him. Then I'd have to call holding. And the singing a penalty? No. He yanked him. It's yanking. Slashing, it wasn't really a slash. It was more of a hack. Because he hacks. So, it's not a slash. Slashing motion is different. You guys haven't watched horror movies. He's hacking. Oh, I have to call that now? Oh. You're going to be in the box all year, Ratchy. It just... they picked Philly. Who will the Flyers meet in the final? That's easy. The Calgary Flames. Yeah, that's easy. The same team that made it to the playoffs in 2004, but wound up falling just short in Game 7 winning the Cup. They're the real deal. The Speedy Flames have the best player in the league in Jerome McGinley, a splendid goalie in Kiprasov, and a great coach in Daryl Sutter. All three of those things are true, but the prediction was wrong. Way wrong. The Flames were not in the Stanley Cup final that year. They had been in the final the last year before lockout. They were not in the final the year after the lockout. One has to wonder if Calgary might have played their way to a final if there'd been an 04-05. We'll never know. We'll never know if the Canucks might have won one in 04-05. That is the blank canvas that we will never get to fill. Anyways, that's my look at the 05-06 season coming out of the lockout. And I will be doing more videos later. I'm able to wear a jersey right now because it's relatively 21 or 22 degrees out and it's going to get really hot again. So there's clouds, but they'll burn off like they did yesterday, the bastards. Anyways, it's fun to look back and see who was supposed to be the next big stars. And I've done that again. So thanks for watching.